Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark and the Lazy Sundays Band. As I was sitting back there on the bench just now, I think it was Amy who asked for adjective earlier. An adjective that came to me, and you're going to love this one. I think you've all heard it. Are you ready? Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. The word came to me, and to me that word describes everything. Super, amazing, inspiring, energetic, all wrapped up in one, and that's what you are to me. So thank you very much for that. Well, and thank you, Unity. Again, it's truly an honor and a pleasure that I get to be here today. And I wanted to start today with a short little cute story, so bear with me for a moment. I want to set the scene here. Imagine this situation. You have just driven 15 hours, the great American road trip, as they call it. You've arrived at your final destination, which in this case happens to be Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Well, not what I'm about to tell you. You've arrived at your destination. You've checked into your hotel, which also happens to be on the Strip. So you're like right on the Strip in the heart of Las Vegas. You've gotten to your room. You've thrown your bags down, everything like that. And you're here, by the way, for one of these crazy mountain races. Don't ask me why that's another story. But you've come for a race, and the race is tomorrow, and you decide, you know what, you're just going to take it easy tonight. You're just going to stay in and rest. You're going to hit the town Vegas later. So you decide you're going to watch a little bit of TV. So you grab the remote, or in my case, I grab the remote. I go to turn the TV on, and nothing. And I'm like, serious? Really? Nothing? All I want to do is relax, watch a little TV. I push it again, trying harder, try again. Nothing. I'm like, serious? So I did the only logical thing I could think of in that moment. I took the cover off the remote. I checked the batteries. Okay, it's got batteries. So I'm delirious at this point. I don't know what else to do. So I put the cover back on. I put the remote down. I go over to the phone, and I call the front desk. I've only been in the room maybe 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, hi, this is Brad. I'm in room, 713 or something like that. My TV's not working. Could you send someone up to help, look at it, repair it for me? And they said, of course, sure, we'll have someone up as soon as we can get. Okay, no problem. So now I've got some extra time. I think, well, what am I going to do? What would you do? I think, well, you know what? I'm going to take a shower. Good, nice, hot, relaxing shower. So I start to literally get ready to take this shower, and no pun intended, not trying to create a visual scene, but I literally have my drawers down around my ankles when all of a sudden I hear this. A knock on my door, and I'm like, oh, serious? Really? What do I do now? So I did the only logical thing I knew how to do. I kicked off my shorts. I ran to the bathroom. I got a towel, wrapped it around my waist, and I go and I open the door, and it's the maintenance person. I'm like, holy cow, that was fast. That was literally barely even 5 minutes. He says, hi, I'm here to fix your TV. I'm like, okay, yeah, come on in, no problem. So I walk him in the room, I hand him the remote, I click it, I'm like, here, it's not working. And I hand it to him, and he's standing right in front of the TV. I turn to walk away like this. I walk maybe 2-3 steps. I'm not more than 5 feet from him, when all of a sudden I hear this phrase, I fixed it. Like, really? Serious? That was fast. So I turn back to him and I ask the question, what was wrong with it? And this is what he said. Oh, it just needed to be plugged in. Oh, of course, it just needed to be plugged in. That was it. And so the moral of the story is something works better when it's plugged in. And so it got me thinking, do we approach life in the same manner? Are we plugged in? Now, I'm not asking, are we plugged into the TV? Because if you're me right now, I am plugged in. I'm a World Cup soccer junkie, so I am definitely plugged into the TV right now. But I'm not asking, are we plugged into the radio, or are we plugged into the internet, or our telephone, or certainly social media? These are probably a lot of things that a lot of us are plugged into. But what I'm asking is, are we plugged into God? Are you plugged into God? And that's what I wanted to focus on this talk here today. Are you plugged in to God? And if you are, how do you know if you're plugged in? And if you're not plugged in, how do you know if you're not plugged in? And then, if you're not plugged in, you actually do know that you're not plugged in, how do you get that plugged in? Is it a matter of just walking over and plugging it into the wall? Well, Unity actually answers this for us. Unity teaches God is the name of my good. And if God is our good, and if God is life itself, then how could we ever be unplugged? How could we ever not be connected? Now, another example, today is a perfect day because it's nice and sunny outside. If you walk outside right now, you will see the sun. Certainly you will feel the sun. Now, I'm not encouraging anyone to look directly at the sun. But sometimes, as in a couple days ago, the sun is covered. You can't see the sun because of clouds. Clouds, dark gray clouds, whatever those will be. But we know, I know, you know, the sun is still there. Same, what Unity teaches again, God is always there. God is always present in your life, but sometimes we're not aware of this. Sometimes we forget this. Sometimes we become unplugged because our awareness gets blocked by clouds. Now, not actual clouds, but our awareness gets blocked by clouds in the form of fear, in the form of worry, the form of stress, the form of doubt, the form of anxiety, the form of uncertainty. These are clouds that block our awareness. But remember, just as the sun is still there, even if you can't see it, God is still there. God is there for you in your life, behind the fear, behind the worry, behind the doubt, behind the stress, always, every single time. But, again, the question, well, how do you know? How do you know if you're plugged in? Well, back to my example with the TV, it took me a second to realize, oh, it was unplugged. And then I could actually physically look over there and see that it was plugged in. Like, I could actually see the plug, like, oh, that's all you had to do. Is God the same way? Can you physically look over and see, am I plugged into God? Now, I don't know about you, but one question when I wake up in the morning that I actually don't ask myself is, oh, am I plugged into God today? I don't ask myself that question. But I have asked myself when I wake up in the morning a couple other questions. Maybe some of you can relate to these questions. Why do I feel lost right now? Why do I feel stuck? As in life. Why do I feel stuck in life? Why do I feel off? As in off course. As in, maybe you've heard this phrase, out of alignment. Why do I feel these things? And if I feel these things, how do I know, how does anyone know if they're plugged in? The same when you walk outside, and maybe you can't see the sun, you can feel it, you can feel the wind, you can feel the presence of God within you. You know you're plugged in when you feel it in the form of, are you ready? A sense of peace, a sense of calmness, a sense of centeredness, a sense of flow. And you feel these things not because, this is one of my favorite lines, not because everything is going according to plan. How often does that happen? But you feel these things because you are allowing Spirit to work through you. You are aware of Spirit's presence. You're not blocking the flow of Spirit, and that's what I was doing. You are allowing Spirit to work through you. Now, that's great, but life doesn't always work that way, right? What happens when clouds do move in? What happens when you do have clouds in your life? And again, those clouds come in the form of fear, stress, anxiety, worry. What happens when instead of the sense of calm or peace, you feel those things? And if you do feel those things, first I would say, well done, congratulations. because you're aware of what you're feeling. You've hit the first milestone. And if any of you are experiencing any of that, doubt, uncertainty, fear, anxiety, first I would say, reach out. Reach out to any one of your fellow Unity practitioners. Reach out to Reverend Jeff here. There's always someone there to help you. But what if, again, you do, like me, you feel lost? You feel stuck. You feel, as the saying goes, out of alignment. You feel the fear, the doubt, the worry, the stress. Well, what then? See, this is exactly what I had going on for me a year ago in my life. And to help me get through this, I return to, again, what Unity teaches. This is beautiful. I love this. Unity teaches that you are always connected. I had lost sight of that. You are always connected with Source. That Source is always there, always flowing through you if, are you ready? If you allow it. If you allow it. You see, if you're blocking Source, then you're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel lost. You're going to be blocked by clouds, the fear, the doubt, the worry. But to become unstuck, to regain, again, as that saying goes, in alignment, to be on course, to move beyond the fear, beyond the doubt, the worry, everything, all of that, and simply let go and let Spirit work through you. We're not here to create anything from a place of fear. We're here to create everything from a place of love. And we can only do that when Spirit is working through us. So I have a question for all of you here. Are you blocking the flow of Spirit through you? Are you trying to do the work instead of allowing the work to happen through you? But what if you changed it? What if you simply allowed God to do the work through you in every aspect of your life? Your financial aspect, your relationship aspect, your work aspect, your friend aspect, all aspects of your life. Because this is how we know we're plugged in. We become aware of the flow of God in us and through us. And that awareness becomes the signal. That awareness becomes the clue. That awareness becomes the invitation to open ourselves up, to open yourself back up to the realization that we are all one with God. Again, our word of the day, connection. I remember it was up here on the screen. Unity teaches that connection to God never goes away. Even if you can't see it, even if you can't feel it, it's still there. You are never unplugged from God. But what happens if you've lost that sense of awareness? You're not even aware that you're stuck. You're not even aware that you're out of alignment. How do you become aware again? I can tell you from personal experience, it's not through struggle. It's not through more effort, because those don't work. It's not through trying harder. Remember how many times I pushed that on button on the remote? Now, how many times I pushed it, no matter how hard I tried, it still didn't work. So this is how you gain that awareness back. You gain it back through trust, through faith, through openness, through listening, and through loving yourself, knowing that all will be okay. I love this quote. I wanted to throw this in here. There's a metaphysical teacher, spiritual author. His name is Eric Butterworth. I found this online. He said this: God can only do for us what God can do through us. God's not trying to weave his way around. God wants to work through us, through you. We just have to allow it. And so what if plugging in isn't about getting more of God? What if it's about allowing more of God? What if it's about becoming more open to of God. Because again, remember, unity teaches God is present in every experience. And with that presence, you always have access to wisdom, to guidance, to growth, even if we can't see it. And now, some of you will recognize this name. Radio announcer a long time ago, Paul Harvey, used to say, and now the rest of the story. So as I was preparing this talk and mulling over in my mind about a week and a half ago, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to cook lunch. And to do that, I wanted to cook a fresh pot of rice. Well, about 2 weeks ago, I had just bought this shiny new rice cooker. I was all excited, and I had used it for a couple times already, so I know it worked well. It's very convenient. You literally just water rice, hit go, and 20 minutes later, boom, you have a fresh, piping hot cup of rice. Well, I did everything that I was supposed to do, and knowing that this talk was in the back of my mind, I made sure it was plugged in. It was absolutely plugged in, I promise you that. Got everything ready, I hit the cook button, and nothing. I'm like, serious? I'm literally living the TV experience all over in my mind again. I double-checked. It's plugged in. And so now I'm thinking, I just bought this. Am I still under warranty? Is it still covered? How do I get a hold of Amazon? I've never actually had to call Amazon before. So I'm thinking, all right, this can't be happening right now. So maybe it's the plug. So I unplug it from the first one. I plug it immediately into the adjacent one. Hit cook and nothing. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay, maybe I have a power outage or something. Is there a camera here? What's going on here? I check, my microwave clock is still on, my refrigerator is still on, so I don't have a power outage. It's like, okay, I ruled that out. And then I thought, oh, maybe it's the GCIF, this ground connection thing that sometimes gets tripped or something. And I know where that is. In my house, I know where that is. So I go into my bathroom. It's in the bathroom. I look at it. It hasn't been tripped. It doesn't need to be reset. But doing the diligent thing, I reset it anyway. And I'm thinking, oh, that's it. That's going to work. I go back out and click and nothing. I'm like, serious? What's going on? I'm like literally starting to panic here. Like, come on. And then I'm thinking, how do I get a hold of Amazon? Because, again, I've never had to call Amazon. So I've got one more thing I'm going to try. I've got 3 different plugs that are all on this same circuit. Now, I'm not an electrical guy at all, but I know if one goes out, all 3 of them have to go out. Well, sure enough, I look at the second one, which is my TV. Is like, nope, TV's still on. I go to the third one, that's my lamp is plugged into. The lamp works just fine. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, 4-letter words are flying. It's just me talking to myself. For whatever reason is beyond me, I have no idea why I did this next. I walk back over to my rice cooker. I pick it up. Like maybe there's some like mouse or something underneath. I don't know that did something. But when I picked it up, I realized, while yes, it was plugged into the wall socket, it was not plugged into the machine. Oh my goodness. And so that's the moral of the story, is that maybe we think we're plugged in. Maybe sometimes we're only partially plugged in. And we know we're partially plugged in because sometimes we go through life, we listen to all things life with our ears, but we don't listen with our heart. And sometimes maybe we're physically present, but we're not mentally or spiritually present. We are partially plugged in. And if that is what is going on in your life, I first want to say it's okay. It's okay to only be partially plugged in sometimes. Life happens in the course of life. It's okay to get, as they say, out of alignment. It's okay to get off course if there is such a thing. It's okay because all of this gently allows you to come back to the presence of God. And so as I wrap this up, I want to say this. So from my first story of the television, know this. The television was not broken. The power was not gone. Nothing about the television or the rice cooker needed fixing. It just simply needed to be plugged in. And the same is true for me, for you, for all of us. Nothing about you is broken. Nothing about you needs fixing. And your source of power, your connection to the one source of power, is always there for you, always has been there for you, and always will be there for you. So it's not a question of whether we are plugged in, because now we know we are always plugged in. But the question is whether we are aware of it and whether we gently allow ourselves to come back to the presence of God. Because when you do become aware of it and allow the essence of Spirit to do its work through you, not in some aspects of your life, but in all aspects of your life. Remember that commercial Staples, the easy button? That is the easy button, because that's when life begins to flow. That's when guidance appears. That's when trust returns. That's when faith returns. That's when peace returns. And those crazy clouds I mentioned earlier, fear, doubt, anxiety, stress, uncertainty, they kind of just dissolve all on their own. So maybe it's not about becoming plugged into God. Maybe it's about allowing God to work through us. Because the more aware we become of God moving through us, the more we discover something beautiful. The presence, who we are, that we were searching for, that all of us seem to be searching for, was with us, was with me, was with you all along. And so it is.